I was discriminated against my entire life because of my golden child sister. She now tried walking down the aisle at my wedding, and I finally got revenge. Part 2. My sister finally graduated from high school, and you would think she became more mature for college, but she was still the same. She got accepted into college but had no scholarship that could decrease the financial burden. Her grades were bad in school, since whenever she got a B we would all celebrate. If she got an A, which was once in a lifetime, my parents would invite all of our families just to celebrate this. My parents, naturally, made a lot of fanfare and told her they'd pay for everything. I thought her college departure would be the best thing to happen to me, but turned out that it was the beginning of very stressful years for me. Eventually, my mom came to talk to me about my upcoming high school graduation. She told me since they were paying for my sister's college, they had no money to pay for mine. So it would be better for me to start working immediately after graduation and wait until my sister finished university to see if they could afford something for me. This basically meant that I would either go to college with student loans or take 4 years off and stay at their house, where they also made me pay rent. It became obvious that she was trying to get me to throw a tantrum because she didn't like my simple reply. I told her I was fine with not going to university, and never wanted to go in the first place. This was a flat-out lie, but I figured I could use her words against her. My dad later tried getting on my nerves with my mom, but he failed as well. After a whole lifetime of terrible parenting, I never had any expectations towards my education. A few years passed and I worked very hard and got a scholarship. Not to anywhere like the Ivy League, but it was a good enough course with a full scholarship. Knowing my sister would hate it and try to stop me, I put my achievement on social media at the same time I told them. Even forced myself to thank them in the post. Now they couldn't forbid me from going, as they'd have to explain to the family why not. I guess my sister eventually got to them, and they changed gears and asked me if I was sure I wanted to go. They told me how my sister wasn't doing well in college, and since she was smarter and had better judgment than me, I'd suffer worse. I lied to them and told them that my courses were easier and that I'd be fine. They weren't happy with my decision, but couldn't stop me. College ended up being my savior, and for once in my life I was happy. I still contacted my parents and visited on holidays and such, but since they refused to pay for anything. During this time, I avoided introducing anyone to them, and I'm glad I did because this man ended up becoming my husband. Unfortunately for my family, my husband was the type of guy who loved drama. He won't forgive or forget, and he's probably cooking some revenge. People were baffled when I got together with him because of the big difference in character. Most people thought of him as an angry man, but he was the biggest sweetheart if you treated him with respect. When we discussed marriage, we decided we didn't care much about the ceremony due to our budget, as we'd rather spend it on our honeymoon. We sent out the engagement announcement and the save the date for a few months later. My parents didn't have the slightest clue and naturally demanded they meet my man. I wanted to grow a spine and refuse, but was having a hard time. The distance had made me think maybe my parents weren't so bad. Well, my husband looked like I canceled Christmas when I told him I would at least ensure they were never alone with him. He had been getting ready for this because he knew what to wait for. He even bought a high-quality recorder he could hide in a pocket to record it all. He was stoked, thinking of all the ways he could refuse my sister's advances, insult her, and then spread the recording of her attempts to my family. I refused to go with him, so he went alone and excited to meet them. When he came back an hour later, he had the most euphoric look on his face. Before I could say anything, he started shouting, "Baby won't believe the awful thing they wanted. We have so many opportunities to F them over." I was confused and wanted to hear the recording, but he told me it was better to listen to him first or else I'd misunderstand him. As I was listening to his story, I realized I made the best decision of my life by choosing this man as my husband.